Hi, welcome to this edition of On Tap, presented by FCSI The Americas. I'm Wade Kaler, Executive Director. On Tap this week, we welcome a longtime member of FCSI The Americas and a lady who's been around food service consultants her entire life. She's very passionate about sustainability and helping food service operators save the world. Please help me welcome Project Manager at NG Associates, Miss Pam Eaton. Hi, Pam. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wade. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Very good. Well, Pam, again, thanks for joining us. You know, this whole series of On Tap was created so we get to know our FCSI families members a little bit better. So I just get started off with the very basic question that everybody wants to hear, and that is, just tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get your start in this industry and become an independent food service consultant?
Well, as you observed, I pretty much had no choice. I was sucked in it from almost day one.
Yes. Yes.
So my father was in the industry, or is still in the industry. If you ask him, he was never ever leaving, and so it was just always around me. I grew up with what we've now come to know as the titans of the industry, with my dad, Bill Eaton, and with John Cini and Ron Kuzer.
Yeah. And
one of my earliest memories is literally sitting on our dining room table as my father designed Windows on the World. So telling me it was the greatest bar in the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I completely agree. And I have to tell you that in all these interviews we've done over the last few days and few weeks, your dad and John Cini's name come up so often. There is so much history with them. For people that got their start or people that were introduced to this industry because of people like your father, which, I know your father very well, as well, but that says a lot to the character of your father as well, just because he got so many people's careers started of a career that honestly, a lot of people, as they explain it, didn't know this is what they wanted to do, didn't maybe even realize that being a career food service consultant was an option until they kind of stumbled into it by talking to your dad or maybe John Cini or Bill or Jim Little or somebody.
Jim.
But yeah. It's pretty amazing how much far outreach it is. And I agree that you really didn't have a choice. You were going to be in that position no matter what. But you also obviously have a passion for it. You wouldn't stay in it if you didn't have a passion. And as long as I've known you for almost 15, 20 years now, at least, I mean, you've been doing it. So obviously there is a love and a passion for that career as well. So tell us a little bit about what you do now with NG Associates. Kind of what your specialties are, where your segments are, maybe that you specialize in.
Well, the company has a wide array of markets that we serve. So we do a lot of the corporate facilities, being headquartered in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. There's a lot of tech, and that's kind of where the company started with their tech clients. Mm-hmm. But we've been expanding out from there, building the relationships. It's a relatively new company, celebrated 4 years in February. And so just, reestablishing the relationships. And so, like I said, corporate's the big one, but healthcare, some entertainment facilities, some restaurants, things like that. So it's really,
nice.
It's interesting. And having come from a very East Coast type of client, not tech, it is a different world working in the tech community.
I was actually going to, what's one of my questions I was going to ask you. I know that you've grown up on the East Coast and worked mostly on the East Coast as far as being located on the East Coast, that is, obviously. What is the difference between the West Coast and the East Coast type of clients? Can you, or especially the tech? Because as like I said, NG is really heavily involved with that industry on the West Coast.
I think, when I first started, the corporate food service was seen as, a need, a requirement. It was just something that they had to do, but it was really nobody focused on it. And early in my career, you could see that starting to change, but I think the tech companies, particularly as the fight for the best and the brightest really took off, it's food service as a, one of the top amenities really came into view, I feel like, with the tax, and has now, as so many things, moved, west to east.
Yeah.
But it's it's one of the things that at least, they feel they're being judged on, and they need to have, they're out there trying to wow the employees as much as any restaurant is trying to wow its customers.
Yeah. Isn't that great though? I mean, like you said, you've known the B&I industry for a long time, which is kind of where this falls into. And it's great to see though that it's not just a corporate cafeteria anymore. It's not someplace that is dull and dreary. And not only in the tech side, but everywhere, I think, is figured out that they have to make it a place that people want to go to, not have to go to. And so I think it's fantastic to see the evolution that's happened in that industry as well, because it's very easy to get stagnant in those, as I think it did for a while. But I think you're right. When some of the big tech companies such as Google and some of those started really offering unbelievable services and options and everything else, people had to catch on very quickly, realizing that if you're going to keep the best in the house, you've got to figure out how to keep them actually in the house. You, as I mentioned in the conversations that you and I've had, you're very passionate about sustainability. Is there a specific instant or point in your career that the switch went off, that you became more passionate about that? Or was it always something you've been interested in most of your life?
When I started at Cornell my freshman year, I was, a typical, 17, 18-year-old, and I did not get my housing forms in on time. So by the time I got around to going, I guess I need some place to live, there was like the ecology house dorm that literally was so far away that it didn't make the campus map.
Oh, no.
So I honest to God, walked uphill both directions 1 mile in the snow to go to class. And so that whole introductory, early, 17, 18, 20, that really, I feel like, started my, hey, we could do things better. But what the point that really cemented it was a conference with another association. That was and there was a sustainability speaker, and he said, look at it this way. We're traveling on vacation with our family in a car, and we're started out in Kansas, and we're driving north, but we're going to vacation in Mexico. And we're doing 85 miles an hour, and we realize we're going the wrong way. So we're going to slow down to 35 miles an hour. Slowing down doesn't help. We're still going the wrong direction. We have to turn around. And he said that in 96. And
oh, wow.
It was Bill McDonough. And he's like, we've got to turn the car around, and we've got to turn the car around and do 85 in the other direction. And then the next point he made is like, there are 26 known carcinogens in carpeting currently that are allowed. Our kids are climbing on the carpet. What are we doing to ourselves? And I just taking that, kind of expanding that out is what I like to think I've been doing since then.
Well, very good. Is there a particular project or anything you've worked on, even in personal life, that you're really proud of that sticks out at you over your career so far?
I think the ones that I've really enjoyed are the culinary schools that I've been involved with. And it's funny because Niagara Falls Culinary Institute and New Orleans Culinary and Hospitality Institute both really stand out, but both of them, and so many of the culinary schools that I've been involved with, are looking at bringing in, kids and underprivileged adults and people who really are looking for their way, and taking them and just, kind of opening their eyes to everything the industry has to offer, which, a little bit like you observed with consulting, there are so many outlets and branches that fall under the food and beverage umbrella that you really, you don't think about.
Yeah.
And, looking at Niagara Falls and New Orleans, you could see it within the communities, because it's like you can go work in a casino, and you can go be, a pastry chef at a casino in Niagara Falls, and what 5-year-old isn't making concoctions in the kitchen with mom?
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, this could be a career, and just all of the neat things that kind of branch out from from the culinary education.
Yeah, I've got a couple kids in my house that are a little more grown now, but many kitchen messes have been picked up and cleaned up in our house, and some concoctions that that dad has to try that you wish that you never had to try in your life. So you talk about the carcinogens in carpet. I'm a little afraid some of the things that I may have had to try to eat or drink when I was a little bit younger with my kids.
Yeah, my son was a fan of microwaving lettuce for a while, and I kept having to tell myself, it's a wilted salad. I pay a lot for this at places.
Exactly. What is one thing about Pam Eaton that no one would guess when they meet you? Like a little maybe secret hobby or something that nobody would ever know?
I play the steel drums.
Really? Very cool.
Not as well anymore as I used to, but
I think that one has always fascinated me. It's such a simple, complicated thing to understand. Like, how do you get that much sound out of one single piece of equipment? But it's an amazing sound when you do it right. I can tell you it doesn't sound very good when you do it wrong, personally. But
I don't know. I think it always sounds good. It just always sounds. It always sounds like a beach with waves to me.
Very good. Yeah, I agree 100%. Is there anything that you've ever done in your career that maybe you would call your biggest, greatest mistake or screw up that you've done? That I love to poke and prod people to talk about mistakes they've made and what they learned from them.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's not really, it would have taken me in a completely different direction. But I always wonder if the stained glass artisan that I was talking to when I was fill-in bartending one night, who invited me to come be his apprentice and travel the world because he literally was doing the Asbury Church in New Jersey and was like heading to Italy next.
Wow.
And he said he needed an apprentice, and he felt like I had the attention to detail just from having talked to me for a couple nights bartending. And, I've always wondered what if I had jumped industries back then and I became a, stained glass artisan and was repairing all of the European churches.
That's another art though. That's along with your steel drum. That's another art that's pretty amazing when you know how to do it right.
Yeah.
A beautiful one.
I've never tried it, so I have no idea if that actually would have worked.
Really? So you've never gone back? You've never gone back and did a class on it or anything like that down the road?
Mm-mm. Nope, I've done some art classes, but never that.
Interesting. What for those people that are out there that looking for a new career change, or maybe they're younger and coming out of school, what's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody thinking about becoming a food service consultant?
I do think having operations in your repertoire, being hands-on, particularly in some type of a food production facility, is incredibly important. In the back of house or in the retail side, more than just a server. And because there were I remember working with some people who had come up without the background, and I'm trying to interpret, a sketch from somebody else. I'm like, well, what goes here? And I'm like, oh, it's an iced tea machine. I'm like, well, how do you know that particular rectangle is an iced tea machine?
Yeah.
Well, it's between the soda and the coffee on the serving line. What else is going to be there? No.
Yeah.
Why is there a dolly in the freezer? Because you're doing Cherry's Jubilee for 300 and you're not scooping the ice cream as you go. And I only know that because I've done Cherry's Jubilee for 300.
Yeah.
And so just little things that take the next step in your knowledge that you don't realize are informing you until you can refer back to them.
Very well put. That's great advice. And I think operations of any kind, again, besides maybe the server part, nothing against servers, but it's pretty cut and dry as far as what you're doing. The more experience you have in the back operations, I think the better off you are. Plus, I'm still one of the believers that thinks everybody should have to work in a restaurant at some point in their life, because it's a great career trainer, and no matter what career you've chosen from a customer service standpoint or operational procedural standpoint.
Well, I think being a server also teaches you to be a good person, because when you're on the receiving end of good behavior and bad behavior, I feel like it really, I don't want to be that person, or I do want to be that person. I think it helps inform in ways that you don't get otherwise. I think being a server is important as a life experience in general.
Yeah, I agree, and I was a terrible server, admittedly. I think I did everything everything in a restaurant operational side, but as far as being a server, it was definitely my weakest point. I think I have too much ADD in me or something that I just couldn't concentrate on tables well enough that I even admittedly after 2 weeks went to my manager and said, I don't care about the money. I can't do this. I'm doing an injustice to your place by being a server at this point. When you get ready to travel to a client's site visit, or whether you're going to do a new pitch or something, what are the 3 must-haves that you have to have when you leave?
Typically, whatever I don't have. It always seems to be, where did I put that? It was in my bag. Nowadays, it's so much, I don't know. It's been a while, I feel like, since I traveled.
I know.
Charge cord.
Exactly.
Charge cord and phone. And, and I feel like nowadays that if you have your phone, you can almost, shocking, almost can't be understated how much can be done on that little, couple inch by couple inch piece of equipment.
We truly have a computer in our pocket nowadays. It is amazing, especially growing up in the era that you and I did, which is not having a phone at all with you for most of our lives, at least in our teenage lives and everything else. And now that you actually have a computer in your pocket at all times, it's pretty amazing.
I mean, because it's like, your Rolodex, all your contacts are on the phone. If you invest in any of the those kind of apps, all of your payment is on the phone. Right. So
if I was to go and ask your family or your friends, what are 3 things they would tell me about you to describe you?
That I'm chatty. And my mom would go on to say that I talk too fast. I try to be inclusive. I try to make sure that everybody's, having a good time, that I can't seem to step away from being the restaurant manager. I have to, if something needs to be done, I have to step in. If somebody's sitting off to the side, I try to, pay attention and go and see them. And that for as organized as everything up here is, it's like a little bit like a duck. That my feet are going. Everything out of scene is a little bit chaotic.
Very, very good. Well, Pam, that's all the formal questions I've got for you today. But before I let you go, we do like to have a little bit of fun with everybody. So I've got a series of would you rather questions. So we'll just jump right into those. Would you rather tell bad knock-knock jokes to everyone you meet, or talk about yourself in a third person for the rest of your life?
Oh, I guess bad knock-knock jokes.
Okay.
I've learned a bunch of them with my son.
Would you rather be famous as a comedian or be famous as a musician?
Musician.
Would you rather vacation in a luxury penthouse or the remote wilderness?
Ooh, remote wilderness.
Would you rather ride the scariest roller coaster in the world or bungee jump off the tallest bridge in the world?
Roller coaster.
Would you rather eat a bowl full of jelly beans or a bowl full of Skittles?
Jelly beans.
Would you rather know all the secrets to space or all the secrets to the ocean?
It's another discussion my son and I have. I think ocean.
You'll let him solve all the ones for the space, right?
Yeah, although he's also just as torn. He would probably not have a good answer for that one either.
Okay. Would you rather never have to do laundry again or never have to do dishes again?
Ugh, dishes.
All right.
I would so much rather do laundry.
Would you rather have the most expensive dessert or drink the most expensive champagne in the world?
Dessert.
Would you rather be more technologically inclined or better with people?
It's better with people.
Would you rather give up coffee or soda for a year or not be able to brush your teeth for a year?
Oh, I guess I'd have to give up coffee. I could give up soda easy. But if I had to give up both, I guess it's still that than not brushing my teeth.
Okay. The last one I've got is an interesting one. It's would you rather fight 3 half-size clones of yourself or 1 full-size clone of yourself?
I guess 1 full-size clone of myself.
Very good. Well, before we let you go, Pam, how do people find out more about you or NG Associates?
The website is ng-associates.com, and we've got a LinkedIn presence, all the LinkedIn stuff. So they're probably the two easiest ways to find us.
Well, that wraps up this edition of On Tap presented by FCSI the Americas. A huge thank you to Pam for joining us today. We can't do the shows without members like you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and make sure to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any future episodes. But until then, cheers.